Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
All right, let's move across onto the second game for Super Rugby AU. We've got Rebels versus the Reds. In terms of our returns, Feo Fotuaika returning from his ban. No news on the Rebels camp as of yet, Harry?
No, so first of all, Fotuaika was actually available last week and they didn't even put him on the bench. I think he's competing with Nongor, isn't he?
Yeah, true.
So I originally I thought they quite liked him at the start of the year, but he may not actually come back in. It's the last time we'll mention him.
Baby Thor.
And yeah, we are chasing up to try and get some news on the Rebels because they're just giving us nothing. But I would say keep an eye on the casualty ward because while I look right now, I haven't actually gotten any of those updates yet, but I'm hoping to get some info.
Yeah, there's rumours about Magnay. There's other things floating around. So hopefully we get a bit more clarity in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
And see where we're at with a lot of these names. I'd love to see Zinasarani back in at some point. I mean, he's in that Wallaby squad, so he's got to start playing rugby at some point. Jarrell Skelton, they're talking about shifting him into the centres as well, or a bit wider rather than just being in the back row. So that'll be interesting to see. They've actually been trying to develop him there a little bit wider apparently through this season. But obviously DHP, he's out indefinitely. And I don't think we'll see Cameron Orr yet. But look, last time these two met, the Reds just scraped by with a 23-21 win, but it was 7 penalties the way of the Rebels. I think the Rebels have added another string to the bow a little bit. They've shown they can score tries, but I still think they're going to heavily rely on this kick and try to take the points when on offer. We're not a gambling group here, but throw your money on Rebels' first points penalty. Okay. I think it'll be overvalued. But yeah, look, in terms of recently, on average, 22 points. This is the Rebels, 22 points in attack. They've had 5 tries total, which is horrible, right? And that's come in the last couple of weeks. The first weeks there were none as well, right? So they're just not, as good as you'd hope for those attacking sort of wider channels and finishing things off.
Looking at them develop their game this year, I actually think they're throwing the ball around more. But when you look a bit closer, they were throwing around against the Western Force, and they were freaking awful. Like they couldn't finish anything. And then against the Tars don't defend. So it's yet to be proven against any sort of decent side.
What do you think are key sort of things we're going to see here, Mitch? Or where's this going to be won or lost?
The biggest thing I think for me that'll influence this game is just the Brisbane lockdown. Because obviously the Reds would have come back home and stocked up on all the essentials, had a bit of a hug and cry with the family about thumping the Tuz. What a proud moment. But I think because they're stuck down in Coogee, they're just been confirmed to be allowed out to train, and that's literally it. So they'll just be confined in their hotels for the rest of that time, just because they're in Brisbane as of March 20. So I think that's going to be a really big factor for them. Rebels are coming off a bye. They're going to be really refreshed. And before that had, 2 nice wins. So I think this is going to be a really big chance for the Rebels to overtake them. The big thing will be stopping their attack. As you said before, Rebels have only scored 5 tries. The Reds have scored more tries than the Rebels, Tars and Force combined, which, they've just got really potent outside backs. If they can put a stop to some of them,
Alex Murphy has scored more tries than the entire Rebels side. He's got 6.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I traded him out this week for BPA, so I'm filthy. So, but yeah, the Rebels are a good team. I think they're pretty clearly established as the 3rd best team at the moment. And I think their defense is good enough in patches. If they've got their best team out there, they can definitely stop the Reds' backs, especially if Vunivalu and Patea are out. There's enough for an upset here. This would be the game that I'd be thinking could go the way of the team that isn't favoured.
Yeah, look, I think a lot probably is going to have to happen. Yeah, there's a disruption there for sure. But, the Rebels are really going to be on their best. We said early on in the year, as you said, their defense can disrupt teams. But this Reds outfit, they can score from anything and any opportunity. You make a little mistake. And I think they've got a good shot at scoring points here. If Vunivalu's out and Patea's in, we'll probably see him shift to the wing. Paisami to 13, Hamish Stewart coming into 12, who he's been really good when he's had the opportunity. If Patea's out, we'll probably see Campbell then go to the wing and Hegarty to 15, which means they've got a few more ball players around to look for their attacking weapons. So, there's definitely some, strike power lost there, but it just means it's a team that can use their strike power potentially better.
I thought the Rebels' line speed was excellent the first time they played, and it stopped the Reds from getting the ball wide to their attacking players. But I think the continued development in how Paisami plays the game is a real plus to them. He can hit the line hard and get an offload, get an arm free, or he can put his short kicking game into use. I think between him and James O'Connor, they should have the answers this time around.
I agree. Where do we see Seru fitting into this side? Mitch?
This is going to be the tough one. Unfortunately, I don't think they see him as a starter because they're not going to have him and Salakai Loto at locks as a combination.
Yep.
I think Blythe and Smith have just Smith had a great starting debut. I think they just make a lot of tackles and get really involved with those safe runs. But Uru off the bench could be a massive impact. So I'd be very happy to see him coming off again because he's not quite at Harry Wilson level.
No.
And there was a lot of talk at the start of the season from my group of mates saying, we'll put him at 6 because he can play in the back row, shift Scott Young. But Scott Young's probably had the season of his life. Like, he's been really good defensively and really involved.
He's been an absolute workhorse for them. He's been really good in the line out as well.
So I'd be putting Uru on the bench, unfortunately. But again, it's a good problem for the Reds, especially because with all the sort of backline permutations, Undra Sessi could still come in the one of the wing positions, and he's an absolute freak. Like, he's, I think, the quickest in the team. Like, he's just got incredible wheels. So if he's able to get down to Victoria, I'd be putting him in the starting jersey for Vunivalu just because he's an absolute weapon.
That's a good point. I don't know if they're going to be able to actually fly any of their players down. They would have had to make a very early call.
Yeah. And I don't know if he was down there with the wider training squad for the Sydney game. So it's a lot to unpack. And I haven't seen which players were in the touring squad that weren't playing. So I'll have to go back and have a look at who was training. But if they've got access to him, that's a pretty big boost.
Yeah, we were very excited to see him get a crack on the wing. Didn't get as much opportunity as I think we all liked. But in the first chance we saw him this year, he looked electric. And I think he's a genuine finisher and an excitement machine for them. But as I said, I think it could actually be a good thing for having Hamish Stewart and Hegarty and things in this side because, that rush defense, you need to have those smarter heads that, know when to make those right choices and get it to those players rather than those, just the spark plays that we maybe saw last time against the Rebels.
How do you stop Tate McDermott?
I don't know what you can do. You just need big bodies around the rock, but he dances around them. Like, I was looking at that first try that he scored, and it's like, gee, I need to see how he did it. Because he got past Tizano, who's probably one of the Tars' best defenders at the moment. Like, he's an absolute weapon. He went full bore into Tupou as well. Like, he puts his body on the line. But McDermott's feet are just so good. So I think, unfortunately, the Reds' backline, this is where they get their tries. Every player in that backline needs to be double marked. Like, they've just got attacking talent pretty much everywhere. So it's that one time that you don't have someone marked that they let you down. So I'd just be putting your big tacklers like Kameni and probably Hardwick or Wells. They've both been tackling pretty well. Just keep them either side of the ruck that whole game because McDermott's going to dart when he's got the chance.
Yeah, the last point I wanted to say about Tate as well is something I noticed this year. I think he's evolved a little bit in his defence. He's doing the who am I thinking of? The 9 from South Africa, de Klerk, the Faf de Klerk, shooting out that line, trying to stop a kick or try to put that pressure on, the deep ball from the back of a ruck. So he's adding a little bit more aggression into his defence and trying to shoot out and not have a standing start, which I really like seeing.
All right, we'll give Mitch the final word on this one because it's his team. Nelson, what's your tip?
Oh, look, you've got it written down, and I hate to disagree, but I'm going to say I think the Reds will run away with this for a couple tries. And I think, maybe they're going to score 3 more tries, but get penalties against them. I'm going to say they're going to win by 15.
Okay, I'll go a little bit closer, 10 points.
I think this is going to be even closer, and I think if there was going to be an upset, tip Rebels, but I'm not going to. I mean, Reds have just looked so good, so I'll say Reds by 6. But I do think just with not being able to get back home, I think it's going to be tough for them. I know Harry Wilson's had to go out and get some XXL shirts and ask for some undies to be sent down, so they don't have the creature comforts, so I think it'll be a bit tight.
The COVID undies. Super Rugby, our